What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Waters. Today we have Elizabeth Beisel live in the studio. Beisel flew into Nashville for my birthday, for some amazing music opportunities, as well as our conversation. It felt like we were just three girls sitting on the couch sharing our deepest, darkest secrets, but on camera. Elizabeth Beisel is a three-time Olympian, a two-time Olympic medalist. She won a silver medal in the 400 IM in the 2012 London Games, as well as a bronze medal in the 200 backstroke. She was also team captain at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games, which shows you so much about the leader and character that she has. She also started an incredible foundation called Block Cancer to honor her late father, and she is now moving into the music industry. She is an incredible violin player, as well as a singer, I think. And we dig into all of it today. I won't summarize it all. You guys can listen, but we talk about her transition out of the sport, reclaiming her passion for the violin, for music, and so much more. What does success look like to all of us? What are our passions? What makes us whole? What fills us up? The list goes on and on. There are laughs, there are some tears, and we hope that you enjoy this conversation. So without further ado, Elizabeth Beisel. As swimmers, triathletes, and anyone who utilizes swimming as a form of fitness, I think we can all agree that we used to resign ourselves to the fact that goggles leave marks, are super uncomfortable, and don't look all that styling. The Magic 5 has completely transformed this idea. Here's how it works. You download an app, it scans your face in less than 5 minutes, and then you get a custom pair of goggles to your doorstep. Mine are pink, and I am obsessed. We've got a special discount for all of our Unfiltered Waters family. It's 20% off your purchase. Go to www.themagic5.com/unfiltered. So go get your custom pair of goggles today.
We are so excited to announce our partnership with Endless Pools. You guys, have you ever wanted to enjoy your own personal lap pool at home? Well, guess what? With Endless Pools, you can. Hayes and I just got ours installed, and we are so excited about it. They have an exclusive HydroDive technology that powers one of the most advanced swim-in-place currents. So yes, exactly as it sounds. There is a current in your Endless Pool that you swim against to swim as much, as long as you would like. It is for swimmers of all levels. You adjust the speed. It can be for low-impact fitness. It can be for recovery. It can be for training. So many different ways to use it, but it is so convenient and easy because it allows you to have a pool at home, and they are even able to install it indoors if you would like. So we are so excited to be partnered with them and can't wait to hear about your experiences with Endless Pools.
Elizabeth freaking Beisel, welcome to Unfiltered Waters.
We're here.
We
are in Nashville, you guys.
In real life.
This is real life. I mean, when was the last time the three of us were together?
Oh my God. Like a golden goggles, maybe?
It had
Probably.
when it was in New York, and we went to go see your brother.
Oh yeah, not
On Broadway.
that long ago. Yeah.
There we go. We saw
Yep.
Christian
Shout out
perform on
Christian.
Broadway.
Yeah.
But that
Amazing.
was 2 years ago.
Yeah, this is a long time coming. I'm very glad. I'm grateful to be here. I look up to you both in so many different ways, so we'll get all that out of the way.
I mean,
But I love you guys, and I'm honored to be here.
Well, we love you too.
So much.
When we were talking about, okay, who do we run during Olympic trials? Like, this is airing in the middle of Olympic trials. Both of us looked at each other and we were like, Beisel. Duh.
I mean,
It wasn't even a question.
my God, who else would it be?
Is there any other option?
I also want to apologize. My mom's accent is very Rhode Island, so
Joni's coming out.
if I take on an accent in the middle of this, it's my mom.
It's Joni.
It's good old Joni, and we all know and love her. So hi, Mom.
We do. We love you, Joni, so much.
Oh my gosh.
Well, honey, thank you so much. We know you have a lightning quick trip here in Nashville. So we are so grateful that you are taking some time. And we actually are all just coming back from Katie's birthday brunch. So we got to celebrate Katie a little bit, which was so special. But tell us a little bit about why you're in Nashville right now.
So reason number one is our queen in the middle, Katie Hoff. Her birthday
one of
is
the reasons.
One of the reasons.
Yes.
One of the many great reasons. So like Missy said, we had our birthday brunch. Obviously here to record this podcast, which was reason number two. And then reason number three is I'm starting to dabble a little bit into the music world. So I have a few meetings tomorrow here in Nashville that I'm super excited about. And it's just a whole different world that I'm learning about. And it's scary, but exciting. And it's challenging me in ways that I've never been challenged before. And I'm grateful to have a free place to stay here tonight at Katie's house.
You pan to the right. There's a bed.
And that's where I'll be tonight.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to start there because I think something that struck me, I mean, we just got back from your bachelorette party when Costa Rica was just, Puerto Rico. Wow. Puerto Rico.
It's okay. They're both paradise.
They are both paradise.
Jack's been living in Costa Rica.
That's why I think that. Okay, yeah. So Puerto Rico, it was so much fun, but I just have this moment that will be snapshot in my brain forever. And we're walking up the steps to the house to get coffee, and we were just talking about what you're doing with your music, and it was just so beautiful. And you were like, I've just realized that nothing's going to be given to me.
Yeah.
And not that in swimming anything was given to you, but opportunities, sponsorships, those things are presented to you once you get to a certain point. And I think we all have had those moments after the sport where we're like, okay, I have to go out and fight again. I have to go figure this out. And you mentioned that I will let you talk about this piece, but someone who kind of shook you a little bit and was like, hey, reality.
Yeah.
You got to go fight.
It's scary because I think we come from a world, the three of us and those listeners that have been athletes in their lives, we have a blueprint. If you do X, you will achieve Y and Z. And in swimming, especially with it being such a black and white sport, it's like if you go to practice and you work hard and you make this cut time, then you advance to this. And it's almost laid out for you, this plan.
Yeah.
Whereas once you're done with swimming and you finally mourn that loss of that version of you that is in the past and you still embrace, but it's gone, it's hard to kind of grapple with what is my identity, what is my purpose. And for me, like a little bit of my music background to just give context, people are like, music? Is she a producer? What is she doing?
Maybe.
So no, God, no, I don't have any skills like that. But I grew up playing violin and piano. I started when I was 3 years old, and music was truly my first love. And I started swimming on a team when I was 5, obviously was really good at a young age. And I was able to still take lessons and pursue music a little bit while I was swimming, but swimming has an expiration date. Our bodies cannot function at that high of a level for our entire lives, whereas you can play an instrument, barring your health, for your entire life. Yeah. And so I was lucky enough for my parents to kind of know that, and I was nudged to go in the swimming direction, which I did. And I feel like once I was done swimming, I kind of suppressed the music thing because back when I was growing up, being in orchestra and playing the violin and piano was not cool. Like I never spoke about it. I think the first time that I talked about my music was in 2016 when at the Olympics, our team room had this gorgeous grand piano. Our team manager rented me a violin because she heard that she heard through the grapevine that I played violin. And it was the first time that I'd ever talked about music, played in front of people. And I had done recitals and stuff growing up, but it was never anything like in front of my peers. And that, I don't know about you guys, but that scares. Like doing something that is vulnerable in front of the people that you care about is really scary.
Oh, it's
absolutely
the worst.
Yeah.
Have you guys given speeches and your friends are there, or Hayes is there or Todd's there, and you're like,
there's almost for me, almost weirdly enough, but more pressure when the people I love most are there because I just so much, I just want to do them proud and I want to be my best version of myself for them. So when they're there, I do almost get more nervous.
100%.
Yeah.
And so that was me in 2016. And Bob Bowman would hop on the piano and I'd do a duet with him on the violin. Ledecky would hop on the piano.
I remember Ledecky getting on the piano and you doing violin. And it was oh my gosh, this was literally just in our team room.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures. It was so casual.
It was magical. It just transported you.
And it's it was scary, but I was okay, people kind of know about this now. So anyways, fast forward, I retire swimming, kind of suppress it. And I was always looking for something else, right? Nothing was ever good enough. I'm obviously in the journalism world, which I love. I majored in that at Florida. So that path was kind of a little bit already laid out. But there was always this voice in the back of my head, you have had a skill playing the violin and the piano and just reading music, playing by ear. This is something that I've had for over almost 30 years now. Why am I not giving this a shot? People would kill to have a skill for almost 30 years. Yeah. And so although I don't have experience or that much experience performing and recording and all of these things, I've had amazing opportunities with a band that I play with in Rhode Island, and I've gotten on stage. I've kind of gotten a taste of those waters, and it's made me realize this is such a big part of who I am that I've suppressed my entire life. And I didn't really know how to go about it. And so the conversation that you were referring to in Puerto Rico, I have a friend and he's amazing. And I remember getting coffee with him and I was talking to him about music and how I was a little hesitant because it's also art and it's subjective. Somebody could think I'm the best violinist in the world. Somebody could think I'm absolutely horrible and they want to shut me off.
AKA the complete opposite of swimming.
Yeah.
Yes. What you've been doing your whole life.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, I think, like, we are so bred to just, yeah, I'm the best. Of course I am. I won. I broke a world record.
Scoreboard says it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. Like, you can't argue that. But with swimming, with art, with anything creative, even with this podcast for you guys, I can only imagine how vulnerable you felt. Like, the first conversation about Unfiltered Waters and like, are we going to do this? Are we going to put ourselves out there? And I hate like negative feedback. I'm a tough athlete. I do not have thick skin.
Wait, really?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like that's one thing that I struggle. We're going in so many directions. Right
Perfect.
Now. That's one thing that I really struggle with commentating and being on air is I want to do every athlete right. But you only have so many minutes, and this is a whole nother tangent, but you only have so many minutes and you have 8 athletes and you have to touch point all of them. And I want to give them all their due and you can't do that.
Yeah.
So, and then I struggle with that and then not mentioning somebody. Anyways, with music, I'm having this conversation with my friend and I was hesitant, like I said, and he was like, Elizabeth, I love you, but I have to be completely honest with you.
Your stomach dropped. Were you like, what are you
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Like,
I'm sorry. Like, should I just,
like,
I'm sorry.
Are you like breaking up with our friendship right now? Like what I do? And he was like, you are incredible, but with all due respect, you've never had to put yourself out there. You've never really had to work for anything in your life. And I was kind of like, excuse you.
Yeah, I'd be like, can I punch you in the face right now?
I was like, I bought these coffees. You can see yourself out, sir. Like, but, and he went on to elaborate on what he meant. And what he meant was like, every dime that I have made, and not that this is about money at all. That's not what success is to me. But in terms of like maintaining a healthy lifestyle and we all have to have work and make money, everything that I've gotten work-wise has been a result of my swimming career. And it's always been like, hey, Elizabeth, can you do this clinic? Hey, Elizabeth, can you do this speech? And I'm beyond grateful to have that. Like, this is not me being like ungrateful for that, but I've never had to put out a resume. I've never had to apply for anything. Like I auditioned for the NBC commentating gig for Tokyo. Like, there are some things that I've done, but in terms of really putting myself out there, never had to do it. And in the music world, what I'm learning is it is so much about taking a risk, putting yourself out there, posting a clip of me playing violin on Instagram. I watch it 48 times.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I pick apart every note that no one in their right mind would ever notice.
No. I'm just like, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
perfect.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like we all do to ourselves, like you guys probably do with your podcast. You're like, oh, of course, that one thing, like, that could have been better. So he said that to me, and I was like, this is like the epiphany moment that I've really needed, and it's the gut check that I needed. But it doesn't make it any less scary to put yourself out there and be vulnerable. So that's kind of like the phase of life, and especially with music that I'm in right now, is I have this skill. Like, I probably have more than, maybe I'm not an expert in it, 10,000 hours, but I've got enough to know what I'm
close.
doing.
Yeah. If you're not there already.
Right. So it's one of those things where like you just have to get the experience, like podcasting, like with anything in life, you're going to grow through experience. And so that's kind of a long answer to your question, which I don't even know what it was, but
No, the reason it struck me so much is I just feel like we all have to have those epiphanies. Like, everyone has a moment where they're like, oh my God, okay, that makes sense. But until that point, it's really difficult for some outsider to say something or for you to stumble upon it. It just has to happen. And I feel like the only way that it happens is you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Yeah. And that's what you've done. Like, we're going to talk about things, but like, that's not the first thing you've done to put yourself out there, by the way. Like, there's
I guess that's true.
But in music, for sure.
In music. And this is like I said, just an entirely new landscape. I mean, you guys live here in Nashville.
Yeah.
this is the epicenter
Yeah.
for somebody, especially in like the folk Americana country world, which I'm kind of in. This is like where you need to be.
It is where you need,
to be.
This is the recruiting trip.
We didn't tell you, but that's actually the main reason why we invited you here.
We're not going to stop recording until we have it.
Where's the letter of
on
intent? I'll sign it right now. Where's my NIL deals?
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
But that takes a lot. And I mean, we've talked so much on here already about the retirement process in general and like how hard that is. And you had journalism, you knew you kind of want to go through that a little bit, but even knowing there were other things you were interested in, other passions you wanted to explore, what did that process look like for you?
Messy, as we all know, because we've gone through it. But I think for me, I am somebody that loves to distract myself. And so as soon as I was done swimming, I retired on a beautiful high note, which I'm very grateful for. I was like, I'm just going to travel for the next year or two.
Can you tell us what the high note was?
Oh, well, I went to World Championships and it was amazing. Like I had left Rio on an absolute low. I hated the sport. Like there were so many things that just didn't add up in 2016. Like I was in the hospital the week before trials, just barely made the team. Then at trials in the warm-up pool, I fractured my pinky finger. And from, like when you just know it's not going to add up, it just didn't add up in Rio. And it was still a great meet. Like I got 6th in my 400 IM, which looking back on, we all have the perspective now to be like, 6th in the world, not bad. Yeah,
pretty good.
I take that on the violin today, like
Exactly.
And it's just like, oh my God, we're in such this bubble. And sometimes I just think of like how unhealthy it kind of is to think that 6th in the world is a failure. Yeah. And we've all been there. But so anyways, I retired and I kind of went on this like world tour. Like I went to Thailand, Australia, Mount Everest, New Zealand, like you name it. I was like, yes. Was doing clinics and a lot of public speaking stuff. And then the NBC gig came around, which was another way for me to like, kind of like keep that retirement compartmentalized, and worked Tokyo. And I don't think it was until after the 2021 games where I finally was like, oh, like swimming, like this identity I need to like leave behind. And like, I was grateful that I went to Tokyo and I didn't watch a single race that I wished that I was in. Like I would watch races and I watched the 400 IM and I was like, good job.
Great. Good for you guys.
You are doing so good. Like
How many times have you and I sat there and been like, I know we're supposed to be like, dang, it'd be nice to be in there. But I'm always like, oh, I'm so happy I'm sitting here.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So painful.
I know. And like, I don't even know why I just thought this, but there was, my ick is when somebody says, oh, but it was just swimming. It was not just swimming.
What do you mean? Who says it was just swimming?
People say that all the time. Oh, it's just swimming.
Like, why are you struggling?
I think just like in general. Like,
yeah. And sometimes it's like said as like a way to take pressure off too. I think of people being like, it's just swimming, like it's just a sport, like just have fun, which 9 times out of 10 is so well-intentioned, right?
Always.
Like it truly is people being like,
Yeah.
hey, like it's okay. It's just that, but like, I think it is so hard if you're not in that position to understand that perspective of like us, when we are in it, it is the furthest thing in the world from just swimming.
You're like, oh, it's just everything. My
identity, my hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
But you're right.
My legacy. But
Yeah.
minor,
The sun's going to come up tomorrow. Like, it's,
Yeah.
and that, I mean, for you too, I'm sure. Like, have you never heard that? Somebody's been like, oh, it's just swimming, Katie. Like, don't worry.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't heard the just swimming. I don't know why I haven't. Maybe I just blocked it out because I'm just like, but I do feel like there's like, oh, well, like, what's the big deal? And like, even when I had my blood clot and everything, it was like doctors being like, oh, well, like, it's okay. Like, but you're alive, and that's like, I always flip it. I'm like, what if someone was like, okay, like, it's just being a doctor. It's just being a physician. And you're like, but you worked how many years to get that degree and practice, and it's the same thing.
100%.
It just people don't realize that, wow, you could actually make money and make a living at the sport of swimming when you're at that level.
Right. 100%. And it's like, it's your purpose.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, just segueing, I mean, I'm looking at the block cancer shirts. Like, I think my dad passed away from cancer, and I think losing him also, I hate to say that helped, but it kind of gave me the perspective of like, all right, what is my purpose? Time is not a renewable resource. So what am I going to do with the time that I have here on this physical earth to like really set my soul on fire, do something that I love, take a risk? And so I think after all of that kind of happened, I was like, all right, my swimming career was not everything that I wanted it to be. I never broke an American record, never broke a world record, never won a gold medal. Like, these are things that I'm not losing sleep over, but of course I'd be happier to say that I did them than didn't. So it was kind of like understanding that that's okay, because what happened. And I left every stone turned. Like, I never skipped practice. Like, I was so hardworking. Like, I was so dialed in. And to see the success that we've all seen in anything, you have to be like that.
Yeah.
And so I don't have any regrets looking back on my swimming career. I'm somebody that can still go to the beach, go to a pool, and enjoy putting on a cap and goggles, which I know for some people that's not the case.
When you were, like you say, and I know this about you, that you do feel like you're not losing sleep over it, but like, and you've come to that, I guess not even resolution is the right word, but you're like that, like this satisfaction of like, I have done everything.
Yeah.
That's it. Did it take you a while to get to that point? Like, when you were in Tokyo, I can't imagine, like, I know what it was like to come back to trials. You do too. I roomed with you. It was so difficult. When you're in the heart of it, in Tokyo, watching races, at that point, did you have the resolution, or were you still kind of fighting through it?
No, that point helped me, because that's when I was watching races and realized, oh, I don't actually want to be in these races. Like, I'm actually okay being on the deck, or like the dry side of the sport. Because I knew after Rio, there was no gold medal. And my God, holding on for another extra year after Tokyo, forget about it.
Yeah.
I have the utmost respect for that entire Olympic team.
Oh my gosh, so much.
That is unimaginable. I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
I don't think. So, especially not with my age and the events that I swam. Yeah. Not that it was easy for anybody, but it was kind of like, close that chapter. Didn't wish I was in the 400 IM. And I don't necessarily, like, I'm very competitive and I love like being on stage, racing. But it was the first time that I was like, I'm good. Which was very cathartic. Like, I'm so grateful to have that.
I'm sure.
Are you guys there? Like, when you guys watch races, are you?
I'm a little mixed.
Yeah, we've talked about, because you're about to be at trials, you're about to be in Paris, same. I'm like, we need a safe word, because we know that there's going to be times where we watch a race or something happens or someone says something. I almost feel like I'm about to walk into this like landmine of bombs, and I don't know what's going to set you off. Set me
what's
off.
Gonna trigger,
so I feel I'm very excited, but I'm a little bit uneasy because I don't quite know what is going to go off.
Yeah.
And that's not an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
I think I feel so reassured just being able to have Katie to go through that process with, because like the relationship that we formed is like, we will be the first ones to tell each other, like, if we have a podcast recording that day, or like, even if it's just life, like, we will be the ones to text each other and be like, hey, just so you know, I'm off today.
FYI.
Like, either this is going on or nothing is going on and I'm just off. Like, just so you know, as my partner, like, this is how I'm feeling. So I think that gives me a lot of reassurance going into these, that like I have full freedom and faith to like communicate with her every step of the process, and she's just going to accept me for exactly
judgment free.
Exactly how I'm feeling in those moments, which is so helpful. But I think it, to your point, and again, we're so grateful, all of us, right, for everything that we accomplished. And you can have both. You can be grateful for what you accomplished and still grieve what you didn't. And I think that was such a hard part of, the opposite of me going out on a horrible note, right? Not being able to leave the sport on a high note. Like, that, I think, definitely played a factor in how long it took me to get to a better place with it, because no one wants to leave it on a bad note. And it wasn't really even a place where I hated swimming. I definitely, was kind of getting back to my roots a little bit, but from an accomplishment standpoint, like I had this amazing comeback envisioned in my mind, like this heroic story, and to fall so far short of that was just like, it took me a while to, I think, build up self-confidence and self-trust again after that process. But just like we were talking about today, everything that's happened since then was meant to happen.
Yeah.
And now it's like, if I'm watching a meet or reminiscing or having those moments of like, oh, I really wish I could have done that, I get to look down at my daughter.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, of course, I'm upset I didn't do those things, but I look around at the life I have and the husband and the daughter and the family, and it's like, I wouldn't change a thing in the world.
A thing.
I mean, not for a million. It's just like, this is exactly where I was meant to be and what I'm supposed to be doing.
And I think the difference maybe between you two and myself is that your endings of your careers was out of your control. Mm-hmm. And that I do not wish upon anybody, like injury, health issues. Like I had my own struggles kind of overcoming my own career, but I ended on a high.
Yeah.
So basically multiply that by 1 million. And that's probably what you two feel. But I think that's why you two are the perfect people to be sitting in these seats and hosting this podcast, because we were talking at Katie's birthday brunch just a couple hours ago about like the interview style that you guys have. And when you choose to start blacking out interviews, like you're not interviewing any active athletes from March on.
No.
Because you get it. You respect the athletes. You're not going to interview anybody at trials until they're completely done with swimming, and if probably they approach you.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful that you guys have created this space, because
what was that?
no, I so respect it.
Thank you.
Like, and you've allowed athletes from all different sports to have a safe place to talk about something that maybe they've never felt comfortable enough to open up to in another scenario. And it's just like, again, it's just one of the other reasons why I love you so much, and why I look up to you is you two took a risk. You were like, yeah, we're going to start this podcast, and we've never done a podcast in our life. We've been guests on like 14 million, but like we've never hosted.
Yeah.
And here you guys are like crushing it, putting yourselves out there, being vulnerable and rolling with the punches. Like, it's scary.
It's so scary.
It is.
It's so
well,
scary.
and I so appreciate you speaking earlier too about like the goals that you still had in the sport that you didn't accomplish. And one of the things that I look up the most about you is I genuinely think you are probably the most beloved swimmer in like the history of the sport. Like, I believe that in my heart of hearts. Like, you are so like, it's who you are. And like, you may not have achieved those things that are at the checklist of what you have to do to be remembered as a swimmer, but you are remembered because of who you are and how you made people feel, and the leadership that you showed on every single team that you are. And so I just think that example for young athletes today is so important, of like, you don't have to be the one that is breaking all the records and getting first every single time. Like, there is equally, if not more, power in the way that you show up and the teammate that you are and the person that you are. And it's just, I couldn't imagine a better role model for young athletes today.
Yeah. I mean,
Got full chills.
Yeah.
Can we zoom in the camera? Giving me some goosebumps over here. Thanks.
I mean, I feel like like you walk around the pool deck, you ask coaches, you ask athletes. It's like, the reason we call you Beisel, but like Beisel represents like, you're the leader, you're the laugh, like you're the person that is like, you're still this incredibly amazing 3-time Olympics, you know what I mean? Like, you have that, you actually have both. Yeah. And so to see like that actually is a rarity to me. Is a lot of times, you have that leader that's like the team captain, and maybe they're just there and they're not able to produce. But like, the fact that you can do both, I think is such a rarity. And I think that's why you're Beisel. You're Beisel. Like,
thank you.
Like, everyone just knows
Period.
you. Yeah. Like, you're like Done. Madonna. It's just like one name. People know
That'll be my new stage name.
Beisel.
I love it. It's the band name.
When it comes to my jewelry, I need 2 things. I need style and I need convenience. OXB sweatproof jewelry has done just that for me. I am obsessed because I can swim, I can sweat, I can shower, I can sweat, I can shower, and I don't have to take the pieces off, because if I take the pieces off, then I lose them. We are so proud to partner with OXB because they are female founded, they're based out of Denver, Colorado, and they are all about quality over quantity. I can't tell you how many times I've had jewelry on and it's tarnished or it's been damaged, and I have had OXB pieces for multiple years now and been able to wear them nonstop. So we've got a special code for you. It is Unfiltered Waters for 15% off. Go shopping, treat yourself, and look stylish.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a minute to thank one of our amazing sponsors, Little Words Project. As you guys know, LWP is a huge part of Unfiltered Waters. We ask all of our guests one of those same questions every episode. What is their word, their purpose, something they're working towards? And we actually get to gift them a Little Words Project bracelet with their word on it. It is so meaningful to us. We've gotten so much great feedback from them. And Katie and I have truly noticed a difference going through the ups and downs, the challenges and the success of life, always having your words right there on your wrist where you can look down for encouragement, for hope. And then of course, those extra special moments when you can take one of yours off and give it to someone else who you feel like needs it a little bit more than you do in that moment. These bracelets are so much more than just jewelry. They're power, they give meaning, they give purpose. And we are so thankful to LWP for allowing us to be a part of their journey on Unfiltered Waters. Do you feel, so you're, all of us, career started so early. You were 14 at Worlds in Melbourne in 2007. You made your first Olympic team at 15 in 2008. Placed 4th and 5th at your first Olympics at 5th. Like, did you feel like your kind of leadership journey was very natural along? And what was it like initially when you were the baby?
Oh my gosh. Yes, it came naturally because I had amazing leaders on my team. Mm-hmm. Like, I will never forget, like, my first team was Pan Pacs 06. I was 13. I was in middle school.
You were such a baby.
I had just graduated middle school. What? And I'm on a team with Michael Phelps. Like, I still have a poster of this guy in my room.
Yep.
And
where was that Pan Pacs?
It was Vancouver.
Amazing.
Or Victoria. In Canada. And I remember making the team and being absolutely petrified. Because how is a middle schooler going to connect with somebody that's in college? Yeah. Like, I've never been around people this old. I had been away from my family for meets, but like, this was something different. And to be honest, I hated my first few years on the national team because I felt so alone. Because I was the youngest by so much. I almost like dreaded. Like, I wanted to make the team, but I dreaded the experience of being on the team. And it's the little things like the team dinners where like, I didn't know where to sit. I didn't know how to talk to these people. I didn't know if my roommates like even wanted to be with me. I'm rooming with somebody that's 22 years old. Yeah. I'm 13. Yeah. And like, you can't help but feel like, oh, I'm ruining this person's trip. Yeah. Like, I would have preferred to room alone. But I remember this one pivotal moment. I was eating a dinner or lunch alone because I just was so scared. Yeah. Because these people are on my walls. Like, I felt like a total imposter. And Natalie Coughlin was my absolute hero growing up. Mm-hmm. Still is.
Amen.
Come on. And I was eating, and Natalie sat down next to me. And there were plenty of other tables she could have chosen. So I was like, are you sure? Like,
you want to double check?
You don't have to. And she spent 30 minutes with me. Like, how are you? Like, what do you like to do? Just like playing 20 questions with me. And it was the first time that I felt like I belonged. And there was obviously like a ways to go after that conversation. But as I grew into the team and started to get older and become more of the same age as and we've all been there. Yeah. We've all been a 15 or 16-year-old at the Olympics. So we know what it's like to be a baby.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
It's petrifying.
I remember someone started a rumor that I remember I said like, oh, can we crack the door just so I don't trip over stuff like on the way to the bathroom? And this person started a rumor that I needed a nightlight.
You couldn't sleep in the dark. Oh.
Yeah. Mortified.
Come on.
Like, and then everyone was like, oh, wow. Like, so then like, so you are a baby. Like, I'm like, I literally just want to trip and fall on my face on the way to the bathroom. I'm
Which
sorry.
also you would do. So
I would also do that. But like, yeah, it's just like those little things.
Very reasonable request for you.
Yeah.
Very reasonable. But it's those little things that like you're already feeling. And I think USA Swimming is doing a much better job. Like I hear stories now of like the people from 2021, and there's a lot, and they're like, oh yeah, it's so welcoming and loving. And you're like, oh wow, because I think all of us were kind of like the front runners of like, there was like a token 15, 16-year-old on the team, and now there's just like 7 of them somehow. Yeah. But I think we were the ones that were like, oh, there's just that one person. So you already feel insecure. And then any little comment that now someone was like, oh, you need a nightlight, you'd be like, shut up. Okay. But in that moment, those little things that people say, it's heightened for you.
Well, you're so impressionable at that age.
Yes.
And you care so much. Like, how was your first experience? Like,
I mean, the story that I remember is, was dual in the pool in 2009, and it was over in England. And I remember more than anything, my parents were having a heart attack because I was 14 years old. Your parents can't travel with you if you were on the national team. No. So like, imagine being a mom and literally taking your 14-year-old and dropping her off at the airport.
See you, Kate.
And literally, like, I would like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. They can't stay in the same hotel. Yep. Like, they can't be on the same flight. And so there's just so much that like even goes around that. But I walked into our room, and I've told this story on here before, but they had our names on the TV, and it said, "Welcome to Missy Franklin and Rebecca Soni." And I was like,
I just got chills.
I know.
But like, okay, can you imagine a better person for me to be rooming with?
No.
Like she was so wonderful. Yeah. I remember sitting on the bus, and I think both Nathan Adrian and Matt Grievers were on that trip. And they came and I would just have them sit by me on the bus, because I would be sitting alone on the bus, like trying to kind of just like mind my own, like don't want to get in anyone's way.
I'm not here. I'm
invisible.
just sort of
I kind of let people come to me, but they did. And I think what is so evident with you and what I tried to do so much is then like we knew what it was like to be that 13, 14, 15-year-old, right? So then from there on out, any trip that we would go on, if there was a newcomer, even if they weren't young, if they were just new to the team, if there was someone who was super young, like I feel like it was one of all of our like active goals to seek them out and make them feel welcome. Yep. And I think that's obviously not just us, but a lot of people that really bought into that. And I think that's why there has been so much amazing progress in the culture is like, there's so many young people. We have so much retention in this sport, right? And there's so many babies that are now the veterans that know exactly what it feels like. So I feel like that atmosphere is really just, we're here together. We're a team now. So let's really act like it. And
it's so nice that we were like a part of that culture shift.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, like, I was miserable my first few national team trips.
I hate hearing that. I know.
Yeah, and it's like, it's no one's fault, right? Yeah. Like it's
also hard to be in college and trying to relate to a 13-year-old.
Yeah, these kids are probably like, hey, so Sesame Street, huh? Is that still good? Or, like,
I also feel like,
do you like to go to the mall in your free time? How's Claire?
And I'm like, my mom drops me off for 1 hour.
Oh my God. But I do feel like it's too from the other side now that I've seen both. I remember even in 2008, like I wanted to reach out to you for a couple of days, and I almost didn't, because I was like, well, why would she want to hear from me? Like there was the other side, but it was like the confidence of like, but like I'm not a person that like, why would that make a difference? And I remember, exactly where I was sitting on the bus, and I think I was like, got scared, so I texted you like a freak. Like I was like behind you, and I was like, I'm just gonna text her and see if she you remember this.
I don't at all.
But I literally was like, I just remember sitting there, and we were 2 days out from the game starting. 4 a.m. is the first day. Yeah. And I just remember being like, hey, I know what it's like. I'm here for you if you need anything. But I took me a while to even send it to you, because I had this feeling of, oh my God, like what if I'm not enough that she even wants that and she thinks that's weird?
That's mind blowing to me.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's so profound, right? Like, I think maybe we spend, and this actually happened to me 10 minutes before my Olympic trials final in 2012. I was a nervous wreck, like as we all are. Yeah. And this, I promise this will tie into what you just said. And I'm going into this, the defending world champion. Like, I'm going to make the team. Yeah. And for whatever reason, we love to tell these stories to ourselves, and then we love to believe them. And they always tell us we're not good enough, or I'm worried about what somebody else has been doing and they've had a good season, da, da, da. And I remember my assistant coach at Florida, his name was Martin Wilby. The best. And Wilby was kind of the guy that I went to when I was really nervous. And we're 10 minutes out of ready room time. And I'm like, Wilby, I'm not good. And he's like, babe, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? And he doesn't like, babe, what's wrong? Or whatever British accent is. I'm not an accent person except for when it's my mom's. And I sound like I'm from Boston. But he's like, babe, what's wrong? And I was like, Wilby, I don't know what's happening right now, but I cannot get out of my own head. And it makes no sense because I know I can do this, but like something's blocking me. And he's like, Elizabeth, for once, don't you think that everybody else is scared of you? Like, don't you think everybody else is looking at you while you're looking at them? And it's like kind of the same vein where you're like, why am I worthy of like texting Elizabeth? It's like, no. Little did you know, Elizabeth was like looking up to you this whole time and like wanted to talk to you, but was scared to talk to you. I don't even know if this parallel makes sense.
No, it does though. It's
like, you know what I mean?
That shift of you know, it's the same thing too when you see someone looking at you and you're like, instead of being like, oh, maybe they're looking at me because they think my outfit's cute, you're like, why are they staring at me?
Yeah, or like, is something wrong with me?
Yeah, you instantly go to the negative, and I don't know why our brains do that, but it happens all the time. Instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, well, maybe I could make an impact. Maybe I could do it. You go to the, it's
why are we like that?
Why are we like that?
Can somebody tell us? That's got to go back to
well, we don't have enough time for all that, but like.
So in history.
Oh my God. I want to stay on this vein though. Like, I think it's so interesting to hear, you know, people's journeys through, you know, you're 13 years old, you're 14-year-old. When do you feel like you made that shift from, oh my gosh, I'm just the up and comer to, no, I'm owning this and you did find that confidence. I am the leader. I can be that person for other people.
I don't think I found the leadership confidence until probably PAMPAC's 2014.
Okay.
So I had been on the team since 2006, and granted, I got started so young. Yeah. So I feel like it took me a while to even allow myself to feel like I was a leader in terms of experience. Like I had like 8 years under my belt, but I was still like 20. So still young. And I don't think it was until that meet that I was like, all right, I've been around long enough to kind of know this shindig and what's going on.
Shindig.
So I think that was the meet where I was like, all right, like I feel comfortable maybe offering my help. Like I would always go out of my way, like you guys did, to like make a rookie feel welcomed. Yeah. Because I've been there, we've all been there, and it's hard. But I think it was the first time where I was like, Katie, do you need help like putting on your suit? Do you get nervous? Like, what do you need from me? Like, how can I help? And I think 2014 was when I like fully embraced that role. And it was the best because, not to bring it back to like the deeper meaning of what your purpose is, but I think for me, after that meet, I was on a decline in my career where I wasn't winning as many medals. I was going the same times, but I wasn't getting any faster. So I kind of had to shift my perspective of, all right, I'm obviously worthy of being on this team. Like I'm qualifying, but I'm not the Michael Phelps. I'm not going to be bringing home all the medals. So like, how can I provide to this team? And it goes back to what you said, Missy, earlier. It's like, you don't have to be winning all the medals to have a purpose and an impact on a team. You just being there and lifting somebody else up helps the greater good, helps everybody. And so that kind of became my purpose organically. It wasn't something that I just decided one day. I was like, oh, I'm past my prime. Like, this is now my new role. Yeah. It just kind of happened. And I think 2016 was the biggest example of that. You know, I could have gone one of two ways, you know, after my 400 IM and getting sixth. I could have spent the next 8 days of the Olympics as a captain, miserable. Yeah. And making everybody else around me miserable. And I like am a firm believer in energy and the energy that you carry.
You were in every single session, prelims and finals, in the stands, the loudest one cheering on every single person swimming for Team USA for the rest of the Rio Olympics.
And that was my purpose.
You did not miss a single race.
Yeah. And that was that was the other way that I could have gone. And I was like, I will put my own performance aside. I'll deal with that when I get home. But for this moment in time, and to be honest, that ended up being the most rewarding Olympics for me because I was able to help people like Kathleen Baker go to the locker room and like, she was so nervous. She like asked me to go with her. And that is,
oh my gosh, that's the greatest compliment
that
ever.
is literally means more to me than any medal. Like to know that somebody that's about to do the biggest, most greatest thing they've ever done in their life, they want me with them the 10 minutes beforehand. That's better than any medal.
Yeah.
So you're who I'd want. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have no questions asked.
And if you want to be silly and goofy, great. If you want me to just be silent and sit with you, great. Like I'm going to give whatever you need, give to you whatever you need. But it's just like our purpose is always ever changing. And I think like, what is your purpose now?
Oh, listen, we're not the guests.
Hey, I work for NBC, all right?
This is why NBC is lucky to have her.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh man.
I don't know. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to answer that. I feel like I'm holding space for so many right now. And I think that's been a big shift too, is like for so long, it really was just one purpose in my career and who I was as a swimmer and as an athlete. And it's always been, I think for me, about the legacy and what you're leaving behind and people more so remembering you for how you made them feel and not for going a 204.06 and a 200 backstroke, you know, which is literally, other than my 200 free, the only time that I remember of any of my times. But I
139, 204.
That's it. That's all I got. And, you know, I think now, obviously becoming a mom just changes your perspective so much in terms of your purpose. So that's been really beautiful for me because I have stayed involved in the sport. I have stayed involved in using the platform that Missy Franklin created and made as Missy Franklin Johnson. And now to sort of be able to bring Hayes and Caitlin into that and like combine those two purposes, it does make me realize even more the importance of the work that I'm doing and the legacy I want to leave behind. So now it's like every interview that I do, every partnership that I have, literally the first question I ask myself is, would this make Caitlin proud? Like, is this something that as Caitlin grows up, she's going to see that and be like, oh, wow, that's my mom. Yeah. And like that is like that framework has totally shifted. And it's always been about having that authentic vulnerability and doing things and working with people that I feel very proud to be a part of. But when you see it through your daughter's eyes or your husband's eyes or your parents' eyes, like that just, I think for me has really shifted that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went first because like, man, what's my purpose? Deep. I feel like, mine is super segmented. And I think I've worked really hard in the last couple of years to bring it all together, right? Because I deviated way away from the sport.
You've been on a journey, my friend.
And so it was just like, okay, I developed all these skills in sales and business outside of, and I think the most profound thing you've asked me on the podcast so far, you probably don't realize, is it was on our solo episode. She was like, wait, so you felt better leaving the world that you knew for 20 years, like that's how much you needed to get away from swimming and go. And that felt better going to this super unknown, scary place than staying in the sport. And I was like, yeah, like that's how bad I felt. And so I think now coming back to swimming, feeling good, feeling welcomed, feeling more whole, but then also still having these other skills that I built, I think I'm kind of creating this purpose of, oh, wow, like I can bring them all together and that's okay. And that's a really good thing. Yeah. But I think I think when I think about purpose and I think about what I want it to feel like, it's always just having peace. Like everything I'm doing, I want to feel peace. Like I'm not supposed to say what I said when I blew out my candles, but like that is, did I ruin it? Like that's the word I think of, like is what I'm doing giving me this peace? And I think that's the question I always ask myself this podcast. How can we create peace and just feeling really happy with what I'm doing? And I think it took me like 7 years to get there. But I think that, like when I think about it, it's always that word. Yeah. Yeah.
It's been cool to see both of you guys come into your own outside of swimming, because I feel like as beautiful as all of our careers were, what all of us are doing now is even more beautiful. And like we're welcoming it, which is like scary, but also amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and you're one to talk with getting married.
I know.
I know.
In the fall.
Oh, man.
It's happening.
Hire a wedding planner, folks. Don't do it on your own.
Oh my God.
And no, it's been amazing. And like Jack has been, my fiance has been just like such a rock through everything. Ironically, never was around during my swimming career. Didn't even know he existed.
Love that.
But it's like everything after swimming, he's been there for. And you guys know him. He is a light in every room he walks into. And he's been with me through the lowest of the lows and some of the highest of the highs. And I'm just so fortunate to have a partner in life that is, we're both very independent, but when we come together, it's so beautiful. And I think it's just like we can support each other on these endeavors that we're going on. Like he works overseas 6 months a year and I'm doing my thing or trying to figure out my thing. And it doesn't matter where we are in the world, but we're always supporting each other. And I never feel guilty if I'm going away, or he never feels guilty if he's going away. So it's healthy. It's amazing. I'm so lucky. We're all so lucky.
We're all so
Todd,
lucky.
Hayes,
I know.
like, my gosh.
They're all the best.
Yeah.
And they all just get it. I think that's like the hardest part when you go through such crazy things that we've all gone through at 14, 15, 16 years old. It's really hard to find a partner who understands.
Yeah.
And I think like the fact that we found people so soon, like I look at people who are still single and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, it's really hard to find someone who gets you to your core and then still loves you.
Yeah.
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 And that's going to stand by your side through everything.
Through
Yeah.
everything.
We're so excited to celebrate you. What are you
I'm so
most
excited.
looking forward to? Maybe not even just about the wedding, but just like in the future. What are you most looking forward to?
Ooh, I love when we get deep. I'm like, I could say like dinner tonight, but I'll.
Honestly, we don't
There's a lot
understand.
of pressure on dinner tonight.
Katie, you're cooking, all right? Actually, no, we know you're not cooking.
No,
I'm not cooking either. Missy, you're cooking.
Got it.
Perfect. I think in life, honestly, like not to sound too much of a walking cliche, but I think, and again, I touched on this earlier, I gained so much perspective after losing my dad because it woke me up to, again, time's not renewable.
Yeah.
What are you doing with it?
Yeah.
And what does success / happiness / purpose, whatever it is that you want to call it, look like to you? And to me, it's fully embracing the side of me that maybe scares myself, like being a musician or pursuing it or putting myself out there. I think it's just like being happy is what I'm looking forward to, because I think I myself can play such a big role in either making myself happy or making myself unhappy. And I think for right now, it's embracing that change and that uncomfortable moment. Like, I think it's good when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because that means you're growing. Like, you're moving towards something. And I feel like I'm moving towards something for the first time since I've been swimming.
Wow.
With music and just life too. Like getting married and kind of letting go of all of these external factors that don't necessarily matter, like what somebody thinks. I read a quote recently and it's, I'm a chronic people pleaser.
Yeah.
Chronic.
Welcome to the club.
It's bad. It's bad.
Do join us here.
Yeah, so I'm here. I've got a seat at that table for 31 years. I'm not moving. That seat's cemented. And so I read
Glued
a quote.
it down.
Yeah, no, literally, it's got a name on it and everything. And I read a quote, and it was, if you can be the juiciest, ripest peach in the world, but not everybody is going to love peaches. Like somebody out there is
I
still
love
going to hate
that.
peaches,
Yeah.
right? Like somebody out there doesn't like a peach,
Yeah.
and I could be a peach, and so I am a sweet peach.
You
know?
are the juiciest peach
sweet.
that
That's
ever
what I'm
is.
saying. But somebody might not think so.
If I text you in the next 3 months, I'm like, hey, you're looking
looking
pretty
juicy.
Just send her the peach emoji. Just straight emoji.
Listen, you're all welcome. And so I think that quote resonated with me so much because I was like, that is so true. Because I have opinions about things and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, just be kind through your, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's letting go of what everybody else thinks, what I think people are thinking of me, and just fully embracing this chapter of life and doing what I want to do, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. So
Yeah.
you best make the most of what you're given at this moment. Enjoy it. Like, my gosh, I took a 5 a.m. flight to be here this morning. I'm on 3 hours of sleep. I couldn't sleep on the plane. I was so excited to see you guys. I'm dead serious. I was like looking, you know how you get all pensive on the airplane?
Oh, yeah.
I had a nice aisle.
Start like going through photos.
Oh, yeah. I had the entire aisle to myself, or row to myself, and I had the window seat. And I'm looking at the clouds. I'm thinking about you guys and just like what we've been through and life in general and like how grateful I am to have my health and like my family and all of these opportunities. And I think that's just, I want to like keep that momentum going into these next few chapters of my life, because I feel like it's the first time that I've felt purpose again, which is really special. And I'm like kind of like coming into a new chapter of Elizabeth Beisel and like who she is and what she does. So
As your friend, like that just makes me, I'm just so much joy and so much peace like for you that you are in that place right now.
yeah. And you guys too.
I know.
Like it feels like we're all.
Yeah.
I know.
No one moved the wood. No one moved.
I do feel like
We're good.
so like don't move.
Yeah.
It's like a deer in the woods. Like,
Yeah. Like,
But I feel like over the last 18 months, that has definitely been like, we check in and you're like, oh, I think it's going good. And you're like, oh, okay. And then like, we talk again. I'm like, it's still going good. And you're like, oh my God.
I know. I'm like, when is something bad? It's got to be coming soon.
Waiting.
But it's like embrace. No, like
it might
all
dip.
deserve
It might, yeah.
Of course, we're all gonna dip and
But
ebb
if your
and flow.
perspective is focused
Yes.
on
Yeah,
the
and-
blessings and the good and the things to be grateful and appreciative
100%.
of.
I want to hear about your first time going on stage performing.
I was a nervous wreck.
More than 2012 trials?
Oh, no, not more. But it's again like so vulnerable. Like it's art, it's expression. I hadn't been on stage since like a recital when I was a kid for like either orchestra or like my private lessons, and I could not eat. Like we went out to brunch as like a band, and I ordered a bowl of oatmeal because I knew I couldn't eat it, and I had like 2 bites, and the guys were like, "Hey, are you good?" And I was like, to be honest, I don't think I've been this nervous since the Olympics. Yeah. And we were playing like 100-person show, and 98 of the people were our friends. Like,
but that makes you more nervous.
no, you're so right. And so it was like every time that I get on stage, I definitely notice a little bit. Like we played a show 2 nights ago, and I love it. Like I get so fired up. Like I love playing music, and I'm at the point where like I just love to pick up my violin and play. Like it's not practice for me. Like you know when you're a kid and your parents are like, "Oh, you got to take lessons, you got to do this," and you're like, "Oh." I find no more joy than like when I pick up an instrument and play and like creatively express myself in that way. And I think it's exponential when I'm on stage, because I think it's that adrenaline rush that we had as swimmers.
The performance.
Yeah. Like I think I found a way. Guys, I think I figured it out. We all need to become rock stars.
I don't know what instrument I would play.
I don't actually know what you would
Listen.
play either.
Like if you had to
Are
pick
you musically
instrument-
inclined?
So
Or did your brother take all of that?
I played a sonatina.
Excuse me, on the piano?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, 3 pages, got a silver bracelet, and I was like, bye.
What did the silver bracelet mean?
I did the sonatina,
Oh, she did it. It was a participation medal, people.
basically.
Honestly, Kate, wait, Missy, do you have any musical ability?
I do not at all. I can dance.
She can dance. She's
I
very rhythmic.
can't.
There's our performer,
Oh, yeah.
right?
I'm gonna just be up there line dancing.
Our
while you're-
entertainer.
No, you can do. She's great. She can do choreo. I mean, wait, yeah, you watched her.
Oh, yeah.
In 2011 when she had to do Usher. Oh my God.
Oh, she's incredible.
Yeah.
She's got absolute moves. She's fire on
Okay,
this floor.
so she is our dancer.
Yeah, and we play the music that she dances to.
Sonatina. I can
A
dance
piano
to that.
sonatina. That's it.
So good.
That's gonna really get the people going.
I struggle with that because I couldn't. It sounds so bad, but like there was no place. It was no like, oh, you won that sonatina. It was just like, oh, that
Right.
sounded good. You didn't make a mistake.
That's so you. You're
That is
competitive.
so Katie.
Yeah.
Like you're so dialed with numbers and
Yeah.
Yeah. Progress and yeah.
Yeah.
And that's,
I get that.
well, actually, now that we're on the getting deep side of things, that brings me to a question like, what does success look like to you guys?
God, Beisel.
Oh, I love that.
What does
word.
success look like in life, or just like with an endeavor that you're in?
Why not both? Do we have time?
We have plenty
We
of time.
always have time with
Great.
you.
Both.
Hold on 1 second. Can I have some of this?
That's mine. Yes, you can.
I can.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
share everything anyway. Absolutely. Go for it.
All right.
Oh, gosh. Success in a single endeavor, I would say, even when I was competing, but I think it's super applicable outside, was always being the best version of myself.
How do you measure that?
Well, with swimming, it was going a best time.
Yeah.
Like, and I truly believe that. And we talked about that with Durs when he was on.
Yeah.
Of like, obviously winning is great and getting a medal is great. But like the feeling of going the fastest I had ever been, that to me was like the number one way of finding success in the sport was going those best times. And I feel like that really has just trickled outside as well. It's just being the best version of yourself. And I think over time, I've just learned better how to give myself grace when that's not the case, because that's not going to be the case every single day.
Yeah.
Not a single one of us wakes up and is going to be the best version of ourselves every single day of our lives. But if we're trying, you know, and if it's the effort and the intention behind it, and then the grace and the forgiveness when it's not quite where we want it, but we learn from it and we move forward. Like, I think that's a huge part of it, is learning and being open to growth and giving myself grace, because I've not been good.
That's tough.
At giving myself grace my life. And so I think that's something, again, that actually being a mom helped so much with, of like, you know, some days of being really hard on myself. It's actually, especially when she was a newborn, and being like way more dialed into like the feedings and the changings and making sure, and like the wake time and the naps and all this stuff. And, you know, kind of slowly getting to a point where I'm like, you know, she's going to love me just because I love her and I'm there for her and I'm her mom, and I'm going to, you know, show her every day with my actions that I would do anything for her. Like, that means infinitely more than making sure I'm putting her down for nap at the right time, you know? And
100%.
so I think that's something that has helped me so much as I move forward. And again, going back to impact, like, I think staying a little bit away from, even now, realizing I may not have the impact on as many people as I did when I was swimming, but focusing more on the quality and not necessarily the quantity, and knowing that and trusting that, you know, you can still have such a powerful impact. It may not be on the same stage that we had when we were actively competing and in the Olympics. And maybe it's from a different stage like this, or from our music.
And that doesn't mean that it's like lesser than.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's hard to get over. Like,
it's
how do
just
we
different.
how do we top Olympic medals?
Yeah.
Like, you do in different ways.
100%.
Yeah.
Like when your daughter tells you, I love you for the first time without being prompted.
Without being prompted.
What is that moment like?
Oh,
Did you cry?
I mean, every time she does it, it's still like a lot of times.
Yeah,
So we
like,
always say, I love you so much. And we ask her, we're like, how much does mommy love you? And she'll always be like, so much. And she like rolls her eyes.
She's like, I know.
But now we put her down for bed and we put her in the crib. And like, as we're leaving, she'll from the crib be like, mommy, I love you so much. And you're just like,
puddle.
like, that's it. Like that, 100 times better than a gold medal.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing like winning a gold medal, but there's nothing like hearing your daughter tell you that she loves you.
And two can be the same
Exactly.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Katie, success. Give it to me.
Go. She's turned this interview around.
Listen, sorry. You chose to have me on. You gave me free reign.
I did. I think success to me, I think what I've gone towards, because we've talked about this, it's like for the longest time I was comparing. Like, to me, for the longest time I thought I had to be extraordinary. And I've said this before, like prior to going to the Hoffman retreat, I was like, that was the first sentence I wrote in the book. I'm like, in order to be happy, I must be extraordinary. And they were like, she was like, oh, sweetheart. Ooh. Like, that's how you're living your life. Like, of course you're depressed. Of course you're miserable. You know, like, you can't be extraordinary every single day. Like, it's just not realistic. You have extraordinary moments, but, and then it's just defining what is extraordinary to you. Like, extraordinary could be hearing your daughter say, I love you. Extraordinary could be, you know, helping someone on the national team and texting them and being like, hey, I got you. You know, like, it's redefining. And I think that's what's helped me feel success is it's the impact, and it doesn't have to be, it's actually very similar to what you said. It doesn't have to be on this massively wide scale, it could be one person listens to our podcast and she's like, oh my God, like I wanted to quit the sport and I was at a rock bottom and then I listened to what you guys said and I decided to keep going. You know,
You
like
literally changed a life, but lives, plural. Because you know that's just like one of many.
So I think I do struggle with, because I am so quantifiable, like I am so numbers based. So I'm not by any stretch saying I'm there of what success is. And that's why I think I was drawn to sales, because it's like, okay, like you hit this quota, that means you're successful. It was such an easy fall in post swimming. So I think that's the direction I'm headed, but I don't know if I can give like I for sure know what success is at this moment, just being honest.
But I think like both of your answers is like your success can obviously mean Olympic medals. It can also mean Kate saying I love you. It can also mean you like finally realizing you don't have to be extraordinary every day.
Yeah.
But it's like sitting in that and being like, no, this is like amazing what I'm doing. And it doesn't have to be winning Olympic medals. And I think like the overarching theme of that and like the message to the listeners is you can be anything, you can do anything, but give yourself the respect to sit in it. Yeah. And embrace that. Like, love that version of yourself and don't be afraid of it. Like, you know, like,
It's
so hard to do.
Or don't think it's hard to do when you're in it. Like when you're in that moment where it's you're irrational, you're spiraling, you're, you know, having all the emotions, you're crying. I do think though that is something you said earlier is like, we're getting better at just not bottling it up and like actually saying it. Like the other day, I literally texted her. I'm like, I've been crying for 3 hours. So I'm going to be wearing a lot of makeup for today. But like, just so you, like, I don't need to hide it. And just by me getting it out there and saying it to someone, it was already so much better.
Yeah.
And so like, that is, I think for anyone, like the more you shove down, the more you bottle up, it just keeps it's like that, what's that Dr. Seuss book where like he has the ink and it just keeps growing until the whole house is covered in ink. Dang it.
I'm so sorry to leave you hanging.
Wow, Missy, we left her high and dry.
I know. I feel really bad about it.
Missy's face was like, please, I will understand
was
what
like,
you're saying.
one
I was like, I'll
fish,
catch it. Just
two
like keep giving me a little bit more.
Red fish.
God, why does this always happen to me? It's like all right, we'll look it up. It's a thing.
It's kismet. It's totally kismet.
Yep. Everybody Google it.
Anyways, the moral of the Dr. Seuss book, if you've not read it, go read it.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it yet, but we'll link it.
Sponsored by
Swipe up. But basically, it's just that it compounds and it grows the more that you don't give a voice to it.
Yeah, it 100% does. And I think that was something I struggled with for a long time. That was something that Hayes helped me so much with, honestly. But I think just like you said, to be able to voice it, to get it out, and to just be so thankful with the community that you have and the friends. Like, I feel like I've definitely just had an appreciation for that as I've gotten older and older, is the importance of the company you keep. And the company, like Katie and I will always say, we're like the couch friends. We're like, it doesn't matter what's going on, what the day looks like. We're the kind of friends, and, you know, as couples that we can go over and there's no facade.
And not speak.
Right.
There's no
literally we can just sit there and watch YouTube videos. Like it's just, and those people are so, I feel like so rare and so beautiful in this life. So when you find them, you gotta hold on tight.
Yeah.
And then that allows you to embrace whatever chapter you're in. It's like having that support system. Like whether it's a good chapter or a bad chapter, you can fully embrace that by the support system that you have. And
I know.
Nashville, baby.
Nashville.
We're getting close on time. There's 2 things we have to talk about before we let you go.
Okay.
Number 1 is block cancer.
Oh,
we need to talk more about block cancer. So tell us about your swim to Block Island. Tell us all about block cancer and how us as a podcast, as an audience, can support you, both in that and in your music.
How long do I have?
As long as you want.
No, because we can't.
Yes,
we got an SD card. I'm trying to plan how long my answers are, because I can talk for days. You know.
I mean, you have as long as you need. I think I just want to add one thing about block cancer and about all these things. There's a common theme throughout your life where it's like if something bad happens, you go into, okay, well, like, what's the shift? You actually don't shift to negative. It's something I admire about you. Like you had a 2016, right? It wasn't what you wanted. And you were like, okay, I'm going to shift and I'm going to be this positive force and cheerleader for every single person. Your dad passes away. You could have gone into this insane depression and not done anything. Instead, you're like, no, I'm going to go raise funds for other people. You know, I'm going to create something. Like, I have chills all over my body. Like, that's rare. That's so rare. And that's such a quality that, like, I've seen rise up in you time and time again.
Thank you.
Like, your book is called Silver Lining. Like, that is who you are. And so I just want to recognize that in you because it is such an incredible, rare, special quality.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Snaps.
All right. Well, block cancer. So dad gets diagnosed with cancer on Christmas Day of 2020. And, you know, we have been very fortunate as a family where cancer never really touched us. Like, my dad had testicular cancer when we were kids, but removed, fine. So, and I don't even think we knew about it as kids by design. So you read all the books and the articles, like, what do you do for a loved one in a tough diagnosis? And the overarching theme that I kept reading was you kind of want to give somebody something to look forward to. And at this point, I'm not making the Olympic team. Like, that ship sailed. Like, I'm not getting in the water 5 months before trials and hoping to show up. And so,
surprise.
Yeah, boo. Like, from out the back, spooky. So I am a realist. I love to dream, but sometimes I gotta bring myself back down. And so I remember, like, my dad on his good days, he would love to go to the ocean. And he and I were driving to this spot called Point Judith in Rhode Island. And it's where the ferry from the mainland of Rhode Island goes to Block Island. It's like the port that it leaves from. And my dad was just like casually talking. And he was like, hey, Elizabeth, like, do you ever think you would swim to Block Island? And I remember looking at him and being like, hell no. Why would I ever do that? It's 12 and a half miles. I can take the ferry and be there in 30 minutes.
Hence the ferry.
Yeah. Cute, but no. And so I went home that night, and it was like one of those moments where I was like sitting in bed thinking about it, and I was like, I'm going to swim to Block Island. Like, that's it. That's that. And like, no woman had ever done it before. It had only been done twice before by two guys, but in like the early 2000s. So it had been a minute. And I remember I called Swim Across America, who was a nonprofit that I used, the next day. And I was like, guys, here's the deal. Dad's diagnosis, stage 4 pancreatic, which is, if you are familiar with the cancer world, stage 4 anything is not good, but stage 4 pancreatic is an expedited expiration date. Yeah. And so I was like, I got to do this like as soon as I get home from the Olympics. And so we set a date and started training, and kind of like very easily named the swim Block Cancer because I was swimming to Block Island, and it's a playoff of like the F word, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was like perfect, and started raising funds, and I go to trials and I work trials, and I come home, and I swear, like, when you're sick or you have a loved one that's sick, they can kind of like plan when they let go. And my dad knew that I had 2 weeks between trials and the Olympics, and we lost my dad like smack dab in the middle of my time at home between trials and the games. So I obviously have to go to the Olympics and work that, and I come home and I train a little bit more, and I end up doing the swim on September 25th. And since then, the swim was amazing. Like, it's 20 kilometers, 12 and a half miles in the Block Island Sound, which is basically like open ocean. Like, this is, and I had done open water swims before, like a mile or a 5K, like very casually, but this was a whole different beast. Like, I was training alone for hours a day, like trying to pay off lifeguards to just like paddle with me for like 30 minutes to like,
what does that conversation look like?
I'm like, hey, lifeguards take breaks. And I'm like, well, you got to work out. So come with me.
Come on.
We're going for a swim. And so it was like, and I won't get into the nitty gritty of it being canceled and rescheduled like 4 separate times, because obviously open water is weather dependent, and the Coast Guard wanted the swim to be as safe as possible. So it got to the point where I was grieving the loss of my dad, having the rug pulled out from under me so many times because I had to reschedule this swim. And it got to the point where I was just over it. But that's another story for another day. So I ended up doing the swim, and it was so beautiful, but it was also a swim that I was like, I can't be doing this every year. I don't have the time to be training to be an open water swimmer and swim a cool 20K, you know? And so I ended up making it kind of like a more lifestyle brand where I sell products for people like us that are healthy, that want to support cancer research and clinical trials. But then also we have like cancer products, like cancer care packages, chemo caps, port shirts, things that my dad used while he was treated, but it's higher quality. It's things that you would want to wear, which I found through my dad's treatment. All of his port shirts were so itchy and just like the zipper was wrong or whatever it was. I was like, I want to at least make a difference for one person who's fighting cancer. And so it's become into this like absolutely beautiful passion project. And I truly believe that if we don't talk about the ones that we've lost, that's how they truly die.
Yeah.
And so, like, although my dad isn't here on this physical earth anymore, like, he's with me every day. And, like, every dollar that is spent on a sweatshirt that goes to cancer research, like, he himself is helping somebody else's life change, hopefully. And my thing is, all of these dollars from Block Cancer are going to research. Yeah. The research is what's going to cure cancer.
Yes.
And without the research and without the dollars to fund that research, it's not going to happen. It's all privately funded.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest thing is like, where are the dollars actually going? And it's in lab research. And so the way that people can support is you can go to blockcancer.co. There's no M because that URL or the domain was taken. Can you believe it?
Of course.
Can you believe it? I know. So blockcancer.co. And there's a donation link. So if you just want to simply donate, you can donate. It's a 501c3, so you'll get your tax return, whatever. But then there's also awesome merch that like Katie and Missy are wearing.
These old things? Oh, wait, what?
Things.
Oh my gosh. Are what? Are you wearing black? I'm wearing black. Oh my goodness.
Did you guys know that I was coming? Stop. But I think like the coolest thing about the merch for me was every time that I do kind of like a 5K run or like a fundraiser, it's kind of like your shirt that you maybe sleep in. Like you don't really wear it, where all of this stuff was like designed by local artists in Rhode Island. Cool. I wanted it to be something that you kind of like felt cool in, that you could like streetwear.
Casual.
Yeah, casual streetwear, loungewear. But it's like, it's been the most incredible cathartic thing for me in terms of grieving my dad because he's never really going to be gone for me because I have this beautiful project. And like, grief is so interesting because some days I can talk about my dad like this and be fine.
Yeah.
Other days it's a song that plays on the radio and I'm like, I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
Like I'm texting Missy. I'm like, I've been crying for 3 hours. Like I'm coming in with a lot of makeup type days.
Yeah.
So it's been, that alone has been a whole learning process, but Block Cancer is definitely the way that I'm like honoring my dad and everything that he stood for. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay. Well, now we know exactly where we can continue to go to support it, where all our listeners can. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
We're so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
And we're here for you. And we're just so amazed and proud at how you continue to honor him.
Thank you guys.
And it's beautiful. We feel truly honored to be wearing anything Block Cancer and supporting it. So thank you for doing that. A lighter note before we go into our final 3 questions. For those that don't know, Elizabeth Beisel was quite the prankster on the national team. So before our final 3 questions that we ask all our guests, we need to hear the best prank you ever pulled and the best prank that was ever pulled on you.
Oh, man. All right. The best prank that was ever pulled on me comes straight to my mind. Becca Mann. Absolute rock star of a human.
Yeah.
I love this. I love her. So we were at 2015 Worlds in Kazan, and I had kind of like garnered the reputation to be a little bit of a spooky prankster.
A little hooligan.
A little silly goose. And so Becca, they were in Kazan, Russia. And across the street from the hotel was this fish market. And it's not like, oh, Pike's Place, how cute.
Yeah.
No, this stuff it's got dried up eyeballs and it's, it's a whole different world.
I hate where this is going.
I don't know if this is a thing, but like maybe for our listeners, like Google fish market Russia and you'll get a picture of what happened. And so Becca, and this wasn't even that long ago. This was like 2015.
I mean, that's like 9 years ago.
Oh,
We're
old. You're right. My God, I'm dating myself.
Side note.
So, I don't know what was going on in the security of this hotel, but not much. Because Becca goes to this fish market. She buys like 3 dead fish. Disgusting, smelly, dried, dead fish in the hole. It's not like, it's the whole thing. And she goes to the front desk of this hotel. She's like, hi, I'm Elizabeth Beisel. I left my room key in my room. Like, can I get a key? Hand her the room key. She goes up into my room. She knows that I'm at practice. I'm at the pool because she was open water. She puts a dead fish in one of the towels. You know how in hotels they're like folded really like nicely? She slides one in one of the towels. She opens up my toilet and lays it in the toilet and closes the lid. And then she puts one in the sink. And so I walk into the room. Camille Adams was my roommate. And I walk into the room and I was like I was in and out. Like I had to go to an NBC interview. So I was like, I got to change real quick and then leave. And I opened the door and I'm like, it smells so bad in here. Like, what did Camille eat? Did she like bring some food from the team room and it like was soured? And I didn't even go to the bathroom because I was in such a rush. So Camille thinks I did it to her because she comes home. But, I didn't mention this. I think I was in such a rush. I grabbed one of the towels that Becca had wrapped the fish in and I put it in my swim bag.
Stop.
Because maybe I was going straight. Maybe I have my timeline wrong, but I had my swim bag with me with the towel and the fish in it. So I go to my interview. Maybe I go back to the pool like we all do. We all have to dry off after we swim. And I am at this pool in Kazan and I open my swim bag. I pull out my towel and the dead fish just like flops straight onto me, onto the pool deck. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And it became like the talk of the meet because no one knew it was Becca. And the entire time I was tweeting, it was like Twitter back then. I was like, I took photos. I had Camille take photos. I was like, who put this in our room? I will find you. I will punish you. Like, it's going to be bad. Like all these things.
She's just sitting there.
Oh yeah. Sitting there completely knowing. And she finally admitted to it. That was the worst prank that was ever done to me.
My gosh.
Borderline mean.
I was like, Becca, you spent money on this.
But that's what you were concerned about?
I guess.
You spent like money on this. What was that, like $2?
Probably. I don't know what a dead fish costs in Russia. Our guests can Google it for us. So that was by far the worst prank that had ever been pulled on me.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there are many good.
You and Schmitty, I got blamed. You and Schmitty did some bad ones in 08 to Michael, and Michael blamed me.
Oh, all right. It's a safe place. So the one that I'm thinking of is Schmitty and I thought we were so funny. Stand-up comedian. My God, we're hilarious. And we were like, we're going to fill up this trash can full of water. Yep. Okay. We're on the same page. And we're all staying in the same hotel in Stanford. And we're going to fill up this trash can of water, like one of those ones that you get in your hotel room. Yep. So it's not like crazy big. And when you knock on the door, it's leaned against the door. So when somebody opens it from the inside, the water falls into your room. Yeah. Quite the knee slapper. And so Schmitty and I, it's like definitely past our curfew, which was like 9 p.m. Yeah. And we're like, do, like little kids with our little bucket of water. And we lean it up against Michael's door. We knock on the door. I don't know in what world we were living in, but we thought he was going to open it and be like, ha, 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 ha. And we were hiding behind this little pillar. And he opens the door. And sure enough, just as we all expected, it is like every 4-letter word in the book. And
I wish there was a video.
Dude, Schmitty and I were like, we must never speak of this again. As I'm telling it on this podcast.
No, he found you guys out.
Did he?
Because Schmitty felt so guilty because Michael was legit yelling at me at the airport. And I'm like looking at her like, how long am I going to take the fall for you?
I was ready to take that to my grave. Yeah.
You were just like, and I'm like glaring at her. And finally she starts laughing. And he was like, it's you. And then like starts laughing. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
great. Like it's funny when she does it.
Like, no, he found out it was you guys.
Oh, he knows it was me?
He thought it was funny that you guys did it.
Well,
Faisal thought
we did
that
too.
Was, yeah.
I thought we were dumb and dumber.
This is the first time you're like finding out.
The Farrelly brothers are going to come knocking on our door ready to make a movie. We're so funny. So yeah, and like, oh my God, that's the one cool thing about national team trips and Olympic team trips that most people don't understand is like, they probably think it's so serious and dialed. Because I honestly think that about other athletes and their sports. I'm like, oh, there's no possible way they have any fun. It's like, it's all fun at camp. Like,
it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's dead fish in your towels, you know.
Yeah.
Normal
It's a
stuff.
great time.
Highly recommend, guys, follow your dreams. There's a lot waiting for you on the other side. Dead fish.
We could literally sit here for 10 hours and we would if we could.
We would.
But we will ask our final 3 questions.
Okay.
We never want this time to end, but we ask all of our guests these questions. So the first one is, what is a memory within the sport of swimming and your career that brings you the most amount of joy?
Oh, making my first Olympic team. Hands down.
Boom.
That is the most pure joy I've ever felt in my life, I think.
Can you pinpoint even a moment within that moment?
I remember I was close enough to you to know that I was like, all right, I'm probably going to make the Olympic team. And I'm saying you as in Katie, because it was a 400 IM in 2008.
Beisel, if you had more in you, I was powerless on the last 50, just so you know.
Well, you think I had left in the tank?
I just remember thinking, if she wants it, I'm done.
It's hers.
Oh, no. I knew after the breaststroke, because that was my weak leg, and that was one of your strongest ones. I was like, if I can stay within striking distance of Katie, because we knew that you were on fire. I was like, if I can just somewhat stay close to Katie, like, I know I can do this.
Oh, you did.
Well, you broke the world record, which was pretty cool. But I remember like that last 100. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but you like smile.
Yes. As you know.
I wish back then we had underwater camera footage, because I was like, hey, like do, and like touching the wall, being able to celebrate with you, even at 15, which is so young saying that now, but like that was my lifelong dream at the time, and like. Not even that, it's the pinnacle of our sport.
Yeah.
Every swimmer, for the most part, they're like goal.
Yeah.
And so I remember like celebrating with all my Bluefish teammates, celebrating with you after the race, not sleeping that night. And there was this pivotal moment where I remember we had a team meeting before finals that night. And Chuck, my coach at the time, looked at me after the team meeting was over, and he was like, the next time you walk into this hotel room, you're going to be an Olympian.
Full body chills.
Same. Like, and as a kid, to know that my coach believed in me, that was what I needed. And that whole night was a mess for me, which is, again, another story for a whole nother day. But to be like, oh my gosh, to put it in those terms, like the next time that I could be using my hotel card key to get in my room is when I'm an Olympian.
Unreal.
I'm giving myself chills.
I know. I just remember if you watch the video back, like you can hear you laughing.
Yeah.
Like just pure laughing joy. And it makes me smile every
Pure,
single time.
like that's the best moment by far.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So same question, but outside the sport of swimming brings you the most joy.
Oh. Why is this one so much harder?
I know.
Oh, we started, we were like, maybe that's something to work on. To be able to think of things.
Should have prepped better. Oh man, I'm like trying to think of when I'm my happiest. I mean, getting engaged to Jack was like top tier day.
Yeah. I was like looking at your ring like,
I'd do it again.
I've got one for you.
I would live that day again.
Yeah.
I guess there's not like one specific moment.
It's a tough question.
It is a tough question, but it's a beautiful question. And I think maybe for right now, like the overarching theme of this whole podcast was like this chapter that I'm in is like, this is such a great moment for me to be in. And I just like, I'm so happy. And it's so nice to be able to say that and like not be lying to yourself.
Mean it.
Because we've all done that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy. I love this. And it's like, you go home and you're not.
Yeah.
So for me to sit here saying this and knowing that is the actual truth, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I just want to jump. Can I? If I wouldn't mess up all of the audio,
know.
I would be hugging you. But
Okay, we're almost done in the
All right,
meantime. All right, final question. If you had to pick one word that represents something that you're working on, a goal that you have, something you're working towards, what would that word be and why?
I did do my homework for this one because I'm a fan and I knew this one was coming. It was a toss up between bloom and purpose. And I think they both have, like, you can draw whatever meaning you want. They're similar. But I think bloom is a cooler word.
It is
I
so
love that.
unique.
It is unique, and I think it can represent so much. And right now, I feel like I'm blooming into this version of myself that I've suppressed for so long and maybe was embarrassed of in terms of like music and being a creative. And I think it feels good to say it out loud and not be so scared because, I mean, it is scary to say, like, I am claiming that I'm going to be a musician now and nothing might come of it. Which is reality.
Yeah.
Something amazing might come from it. But I think it's just like great and cool for me to be able to say like, yeah, I actually am doing this because I love it.
Yeah.
Like I get so stoked when I play music. I enjoy collaborating. Like I love learning new songs and it's just like such a cool world that I've discovered and all I knew was the swimming world for so long. And trust me, I am obsessed with swimming. I will be in the swimming world for the rest of my life. I will put on a cap and goggles every day if I could, especially in the ocean. But to kind of open my lens to an entirely new world and new language and new connections and new challenges is really cool. So bloom. And I encourage everybody to like bloom into whatever version of yourself maybe you're scared to bloom into. Whether you're feeling like pressure from your peers or like it's not cool or your parents don't support it or whatever it is. Like I've said it multiple times, time is not renewable. And for me, it's on the last day of my life, whenever that is, am I going to be able to look back and think, I have zero regrets. I did everything that I could to live the happiest, most fulfilling life that I could. Or am I going to live my life kind of doing what I think everybody else wants me to do or doing what I think is what other people want.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
Blooming.
Live my life.
I'm blooming.
Yeah.
I got no time for anything else. I'm blooming.
We're blooming, baby.
I'm a garden, baby. If you guys, wait, now, all right, I know we got to go, but if you guys could be a flower, what would you be?
Ooh. My favorite is stargazer lilies.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite. I just think they're so unique and there's again, getting deep, but there's so many aspects to them.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different things that I think make them beautiful. And I think that's just really representative of like every person.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different things in someone that makes them beautiful and who they are.
Yeah. Man, I do not have an eloquent answer like that.
Katie's like, whatever flower is purple.
Yeah. Is that a breed of flower?
That was my answer.
You know, the purple ones. Lilac.
Yeah, but those are
No. I mean,
What are purple? I mean, aren't there purple roses? Anything purple. Anything purple. Just blanketed.
I'm hoping our listeners know our listeners. And on that note,
We are welcoming. We'd like to welcome the third co-host to Unfiltered Water.
no guest will ever have an opportunity to get a single word in, but
Stop.
this is good.
Do our guests know that I like purple? Or is that what you're going to say?
No, I was going to say, do our guests know purple flowers? They could send you recommendations.
Or our listeners.
They
Yeah.
absolutely could.
Our listeners. They could, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way.
while they're
I'm in-
Googling Russian fish markets.
You have
Come
given
on.
in some homework assignments
Listen,
to our listeners.
did I not? These people are educated now. This was a day in school, folks.
And on that note, I don't know. I don't even know how to close.
We don't. We just say thanks.
Thank you so much, Beisel. Like, this has just been so special.
I love you guys. Thank you for having me. And thank you both for creating this platform. Not just for me, but for everybody you've had on, everybody you will have on, and respecting every person's time and where they are in their season and their sport, because that is rare.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being you. Thank you for all that you continue to do for the sport of swimming.
Thank you.
A lot of our listeners, if you guys are going to watch swimming this summer, chances are you're going to hear that amazing laugh in the background. So thank you for being you and for sharing so much of your story with us. And we're just so happy that you're happy.
I love you guys.
We love you.